Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. Totally cool. I'm trying to get this frog angled. I think I got it. Okay, cool. All right, hold on. I think I got it. All right. I think we're doing well now. Okay, cool. Excuse me. So, good morning. Let's see, what do we have today? Um, hey, Ian. So, what do we have today? So, again, well, actually, we do have something today. Well, we have something every day, right? So, yesterday, I went ahead and performed some operations in the Rhino Bucks market. Over the course of the last 2 weeks, I think what everyone has noticed, or maybe not, I don't know, but there has been some selling in Rhino Bucks, which has been heavier than usual. Now, I want to say before I continue, we always know where the selling is coming from. There's a finite amount of Rhino out there. So, two things, you could have 2 points of view when someone is selling: the correct point of view and the incorrect point of view. Hey, good morning, Kester. The incorrect point of view is, oh my God, look at the selling. It's just never going to end, right? And that's really incorrect. Of course, it is going to end. There's only so much. The correct point of view is, okay, look at that selling. Now there's less to sell, which means it's closer to a price that represents a bottom, and B, an opportunity. And I say all that, and I think actually I'm over exaggerating. I don't mean to alarm anyone. Like anyone that has seen it, it's been going up, right? But in terms of that, so there was, I think like 5 different people that needed to raise cash, and all at the same time, which actually corresponds with when we were raising larger money, like 100,000, 200,000, and 3 different people said yes, and actually none of them came through because life happens. And what we're noticing is the economy is just pinching everyone kind of equally. So the 5 individuals that had sold over the last 2 weeks don't have any more. Like they're sold out. They have no more Rhino, which means they can't sell anymore, which is fine. Like we're happy about that. We're not happy that somebody had to sell. We wish whoever sold the best, obviously, but their effect on us, and purposely so, like Rhino's always done this, their effect on us is very siloed. It can't, there's no single person in Rhino that has the ability to do something disastrous, and purposely so, right? Like all of the weekly plans are what, $1, $5, $10, and purposely so. The point being, all of those individuals who had sold have no more left to sell. So over the course of the last week, what I've noticed is there just has not been any selling. There's only one individual that sells 50 a day, and that's just what that person does, and I'm totally okay with that. Like, God bless, right? But to that point, I'm finally getting the opportunity to manage the market the way I've always wanted to. And there's a much more scaled approach to being able to manage this market, but on a very low end, on a very, only 350 of us in it. Ideally, nobody would sell, in which case I can do all the buying with all of the recurrings that come in. And as that buying accumulates, it gives us the opportunity that, hey, we're up 10 straight cents. Now we could go ahead and exhaust some supply into the market. So for instance, of the, whatever supply that's left, okay, we could take 600 and put it in the market. Now, of course, that 600 isn't sold into the market. The proceeds don't go to Anthony. The proceeds don't go anywhere. If the market, let's say, has $10,000 in it, right? So everything in Rhino Bucks is $10,000. And you now take, and of that 10,000, say Rhino is only worth $1. So 5,000 of it's in Rhino and 5,000 of it's in cash. So 5,000 plus 5,000 equals 10,000. Okay. Well, if you take, say, 1,000 Rhino and bring it onto the market, what happens? Now you have 6,000 Rhino and 5,000 cash, but the market still equals only 10,000 because the Rhino doesn't increase the market value. It has to be, it comes in at the same proportion the market value already is. So now it's 6,000 Rhino plus 5,000 cash equals $10,000, which means how much is each Rhino now worth? Well, it's not worth $1 anymore. It's worth maybe 90 cents, right? Like whatever, 6,000 times that number, that equals 5,000. So actually that comes out to 80 cents, something like that, right? So the value of Rhino decreases, but the market value stays the same. And what does that allow? Well, now there's more liquidity, right? So now when somebody sells something or when someone buys something, you're now your percentage against 6,000 is less than your percentage against 5,000, right? So if you sell 10 over 5,000 is a higher percentage than 10 over 6,000. And the point is you want to constantly increase the liquidity so that everyone that owns Rhino has the ability to buy and sell large amounts. And again, remember, there's a whole investor class of Rhino that was participating before, for years. They've been gracious enough to allow us to hold back their coin until the market matured. The same thing with people that are in Rhino right now. There are people in Rhino that have 10,000, 15,000 Rhino. And they know they can never just go ahead and sell it. If you sold 15,000 Rhino, do you know what would happen? I think there's only 35,000 Rhino in it to begin with. You would chop it in half. Now that might sound scary to others. Oh my God, someone with 15,000 Rhino could chop it in half. Yeah, and what would happen? They would have no more Rhino left. And you know what would happen to Rhino? We would just keep buying. Like that's what we do. We're always going to keep buying because the recurrings are always coming in, which means now we get to buy it much cheaper. So the individual that has 15 is actually at a very disadvantaged position against Rhino, because if they were sold to 15,000, they would bring down the market. They'd bring down their own market price. They would never receive the two, whatever it is. They would receive like $1.20 or something, because you'd have to find that much that could go ahead and facilitate that 15,000. But from my perspective, I'd be able to buy as much Rhino as possible at a very, very low amount, and everyone in Rhino, as long as they had a certain not patience, but a certain level of awareness. Okay, great, it came down, but now it's going to go up twice as fast because we're buying it at half the price. Hey, Terry. So that's how that would work. But that's not fun to say. I don't want anyone to say, oh my God, all right, well, I actually can't buy too much, because if I buy too much, I no longer have flexibility. So our job is to go ahead and make sure we're constantly increasing the liquidity. But you can't do it irresponsibly, right? Like I could increase the liquidity to 1 million coin right now. You know how much Rhino would be? It'd be worth like a penny. That's not good. Nobody would be happy with that. So I'll never do that, right? And I say that out loud, not to go ahead and scare anyone, but to completely be transparent. These are the options I have. I'll just never do that. Like that's crazy to me. But what we do want to do is allow the market to mature responsibly, naturally, and as it continues maturing, to go ahead and seep liquidity into it. Because that liquidity is what allows anyone to be able to buy and sell so easily. Again, a market, the number one job of a market is to allow you not only to buy, but to sell. Do you know how many people I talk to that are like, yeah, I got in at this really, because I was doing the money raising, right? So whenever I talk to someone, yeah, Ant, I have 100,000 I can do. I can't get my hands on it. What does that mean? You can't get your hands on it? Well, it's locked up. Locked up? Yeah, I have to wait till they allow me to sell it, right? And that always made me like cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. Like the number one job of any market is to not only not to take only your money, but to be able to give it back to you when you ask for it, and at a responsible price, right? Like you shouldn't buy Rhino at 2 and then only be able to sell it at 1. That's crazy. In fact, anyone that buys it today can sell it at the price today, because what I do and what Rhino does is make sure the market's functioning properly. All of these mechanisms behind the scenes of adding liquidity to the market make sure that the market acts efficiently. Because here's the thing. So say for instance, and let's take the other side so everyone could really understand what I'm saying. Say for instance, Rhino had no intention of adding liquidity. In fact, say Rhino was a complete dirtbag company like every other company out there and said, you know what? These people are not so smart. Let's go ahead and trick them. So every time you buy something, we just keep buying Rhino. Now Rhino's $5, $10, $15. And everyone's like, oh my God, look how high it's going up, right? We've all seen this story. Look at it, oh my God, oh my God. Well, if we never added liquidity, you'd have no ability to sell. So say for instance, you're like, okay, great. I got 10,000 Rhino, it's now $15, I'm gonna sell it. Well, there's only actually 1,000 liquidity in the pool and you have 10,000. So actually, not only can you not sell it, but you can only sell 1/10 of it, and that 1/10 is going to bring it down to 0. Well, how is that even possible? Well, because the market was never built for you to sell. It was only built for you to continue buying, which is what every crypto scam does. They continue to take your money, run it, and then when there's no more money left, guess what? So I was speaking to one of our rhinos last night that's actually really excited and wants to participate in a bigger way. And he was talking to me and he was like, I understand, I don't follow it every day, but I understand enough of it. And when it was 250 and it went down to two, I understand it wasn't fun, but I understand. And I kind of paused him and I was like, well, I just want to share why we did that. It's not like we sold Rhino to the market and Anthony took the proceeds and bought a car, right? We saw the opportunity that because we decided, and not decided, because he kept saying we were changing things, and actually a couple of people in this life have characterized things as it's always changing. And I don't think that's a mischaracterization purposely, right? But I do want to make sure that I point out that I want to correct that. We don't change, we evolve. And that's not a play on words. If you take a look at RHINOHUB, everything we've ever done is right there. You see, what we were always doing was we were building t-shirts or shoes or pants, but never built them all, right? Like we were on the corner saying, hey, do you want my shirts? And people are driving by like, yeah, but I'm in a car. Why would I buy a shirt when I'm in a car? Rhino Street, our search engine, has a lot of value, but to who? To people that are opening a business, that are listing a business. Well, if you have a total membership platform where people are opening businesses, wouldn't it behoove them? Hey, great job opening the business. Now you can list it here. They're going to do it. People that want to get into investment and crypto and stuff. Well, if they want to do it, wouldn't it be nice to offer it to them in that moment rather than trying to convince a stranger to do it, and so forth and so forth and so forth. So everything is now really neatly placed in one spot, and it's really great. But in doing so, we had to be able to identify what was not going well, be able to change, well, not even change it, be able to think what to do, then to do it, and then to successfully do it, which we've done. And I got to tell you, it's actually been the best case scenario. And again, we don't pat ourselves on the back, but in terms of probability, the probability that we would have identified what was wrong in time to identify what was wrong, make the changes that needed to be made, identify what we needed to invent to be correct, and then build it in time that everything didn't fall apart while building it, and then to be launching it and already launched it 2 weeks ago. I get we've raised the bar high, so everyone's like, well, Ant, duh, like that's what you guys do over there. But that's really impressive. Like that's really super impressive. So during that period of time, we had to take a step back from Rhino Bucks, and because we weren't actually like every single day actively, hey, it gave a lot of people the perception of peak performance. In which case, duh, like okay, things aren't going up any further. Let me get out before things collapse, which is the right thing to do. It's the right thing to think if your prognosis is correct, right? Like if your diagnosis is correct, then the prognosis is to go ahead and get out. But the diagnosis wasn't correct because we were never at peak performance, we were at reinvestment. Be that as it may, I can't go ahead and tell people what to think. So people that thought we were at peak performance acted and behaved like we were at peak performance, which meant I saw selling coming that I knew that if it exacerbated, I wouldn't be able to support it. So what would happen? Okay, we'd hold it at 250, 260, 260, then all of a sudden it would break. And then anyone that sees that, what does that tell somebody? Wow, Anthony and Rhino were unable to see this coming. What else are they unable to see? Let me get out before being the one that learns that the hard way. You see, in economics, there's behavioral economics. In everything in markets, it's all about managing one's expectations. So I've always managed everyone's expectations. We're doing this. And because we've always done what we said we're going to do, people say, okay, that's what they said they're going to do. I give them the benefit of the doubt. So when we say we're always going to hold it and allow it to go up a penny per day, and then all of a sudden we see that based on the movement and the pivoting that we did to reinvest in our future, that we're unable to do that, I have two decisions. Or I could do two things, right? I could do one, which is a coward thing, and put my head in the ground like an ostrich and say, okay, please God, don't let it crack, and then risk everyone's money and risk everything we've ever done. Okay. And then say, oh, who could have seen that coming? Or I could say, you know what, I'm not really about that type of risk. So let's let everyone know there is a possibility that there is a calculation that exists that we'd be unable to support it, and we're unwilling to risk people's money. So let's go ahead and fortify the markets by adding more supply to it. And what that does is it lowers the price. So anyone that was thinking of selling at 250 may not be so inclined to sell at 2. and all of the selling the volatility of the selling will be blunted because now it's overly supplied. And anyone that sells, I can buy back at $2, which is a 20% discount from having to buy back at $2.50. Win, win, win. But it's only a win if you're in RHINO for the right reasons. And by right reasons, I mean, let me take that back because that's super subjective. It only is a win for RHINO if you're in it for the longer term. And by longer term, I don't mean like 20 years. I mean, you should be, but a year, 2 years, like allow me just to kind of work a little bit. But if you were in it only for a day, well, shame on you. And not shame on you in the terms of you made a bad decision. Well, I guess you did. But in any type of trading, the variables day to day are so out of your control that you're always gambling. So you have to say, if I'm in RHINO for a day, I'm gambling in RHINO, which is fine. God bless. As long as you know what you're doing, right? As long as you know I'm gambling on RHINO, then fine. But nobody invests in RHINO for a day. So those that are investing in RHINO, those are the people that that are my interest. So what happened was, because we were able to do that, we've been moving up ever since, and we've been able to really clean out the people that are looking to sell. So to kind of fast forward to, I guess, why I've blabbed this much to begin with, is what I've noticed over the last week is the selling has really, really died down. In which case it's allowed me to continue adding supply into the market while respecting it, right? Like we're not going to add supply and bring it down to $1. Like we're always going to respect everyone's profit incentive as well. Because people could agree with me, and yeah, you're fortifying it, but they could also simultaneously say, well, don't disrespect me. Like I don't want to see my thing go from 2 to 1. Like do it responsibly, and I will. So yesterday, I believe we got up to 216. I went ahead and sold, well, not sold, but supplied 600 RHINO into the market, which was roughly $1,300. It brought it down to 206. And then we bought it up to 212, where I think it's sitting right now, 211, 212. So realistically, it's down 4 cents day over day, but the liquidity is now $1,500 stronger. In fact, we're almost at 70,000 market cap, which I don't know if anyone pays attention to that, but in October, when we launched, our market cap was 6,000. Which is actually kind of funny because you can look at it and say, okay, and this kind of explains it, right? And I'm only going to go for 5 more minutes, so I don't want anyone to, oh my God, there goes Anthony again, because I do want to show you something really cool. In October 18th, when we launched at $1. Today we're $2.11. So what's the math? How much price appreciation have we had? Well, 111%. Okay. This is the difference. That's the headline. Look underneath it. We had an initial market cap of $6,000. Our market cap now is 70,000. Well, what does that say? Well, we've increased our market cap by what, 1,200%? Well, how did you increase your market cap 1,200%, but the stock is only up 100%? That's the behind the scenes stuff that RHINO's doing for your benefit. You see, if we never increase the market cap, we could have RHINO right now $12 a coin, because that 1,200% is real. It was 6,000, now it's 70,000. But rather than ever blow smoke up your butt by saying, oh, look, you got in at $1, it's now 12, but haha, you can't sell. We're not that people. So we've navigated it well. I think everyone has 100% gain, while the market itself is 1,200% times larger. And we want to continue. Now, of course, this is all the beginning stuff, right? Like once Hub is done and once we start putting ad money to it, then everything that we've built scales itself. Because again, we only have 350 people in RHINO. Imagine when we have 700. Imagine when we have 1,000. Imagine when we have 10,000 people in RHINO. And you might say, well, Ant, that sounds like a pipe dream. If you haven't done it yet, I've never done ad spend. I've always taken the time to methodically build it correctly. Again, if you have the cure for cancer, you need to create it and then bring it to people. You don't go to people and say, hey, you have cancer? And actually, you know what? That's a poor example. So you don't go to anyone and say, say for instance, you have cold medication, right? You don't go to people first and say, do you have a cold? Okay, cool. I'm going to work on cold medication. Just stay there. I'll get back to you. No, you have to make it first, then you could go to people who have a cold. And in fact, people that have a cold, they want the medication more than you want to sell it to them because they're the ones with the cold. So once you actually build it, then everyone says, oh my God, do you have that? And it works just fine. So that's a little commentary. But what I do want to do now, I want to show you something super cool. And it's going to be totally confusing. Well, maybe not. I don't know. So the kind of the secret formula that we've shared, it's not like we haven't shared, but I don't think anyone's fully grasped it yet. And for good reason. I don't think you should, because it's something like so stupid. And I don't use the word stupid often, but it's so stupid that it's crazy. And we mean stupid as a good thing, like fat, PHAT, like to all my 2000 cats out there. So the bot inside of RHINO, right now it's just a personal assistant, right? You could go to it, talk to it, ask it to tell you a joke, that's fine. But I've always said that we're going to train it to be an expert salesman. And that sounds okay. What does that mean, man? You're gonna train it to be an expert salesman, cool. From my perspective, and again, my whole career is in sales, and my background's in behavioral science, that I want to identify that when you give me a salutation, like when you introduce yourself to me, I want to be able to identify the syntax and the vernacular that you're using, to use neuro-linguistic programming to scale it back to see why did you use that sentence and what does it say about you. For instance, if an individual has an American flag outside of his house, there's more times than not he's Republican. And it's not making a distinction Republican versus Democrat, it's just this characteristic equals this. Like for instance, if you're willing to try a new energy drink from somebody that has a cooler and comes up to you, well then you're a risk taker. Well, why? Well, those two things equal the same outcome, right? Like somebody that is willing to try an energy drink from a stranger is someone that's also willing to do A, B, C, and D risk. So the question then becomes, how can you identify behavior in someone that reveals who they are without them knowing they revealed themselves to you? And in doing so, can you then navigate the conversation down a path that allows them to participate in an outcome that they would like to participate in before they ever knew they wanted to participate in it, right? So for instance, if I knew you were a risk taker, would I also be able to suggest or at least surmise that you might be into options trading, which is a really, really risky stock option trading, which we have a program for. We do really well with it. Yeah, but I can't surmise that you've ever been in stocks. But I can surmise, since you're a risk taker, you'd be willing to take my advice on stocks because that would be taking a risk. So take what I just said and multiply it by infinity. That's what we're doing with every one of our programs for the bot. So let me just kind of show you what that looks like on a really, really small scale. Okay, so where am I? All right, so RHINO Weld CSV. Come on, computer. Okay, so where am I? Let me move some stuff. I don't know why. Okay, here we go. All right, so let's just do the first one and then I'm sure you'll figure it from there. Actually, why is that doing that? You know what? Let me get at the CSV file just because CSV is a little different. And just go to the regular file. Okay, so let me do the first one with you and maybe the second one. So I'm looking to make a big change in my life. Now that's a fairly normal sentence, right? I'm looking to make a big change in my life. Now, how we would get someone to be in a position to share that sentence is still work that needs to be done. But okay, let's assume that sentence is said by someone. Well, conversation decision tree to be labeled with risk taker. So maybe the membership bot would be, hi there, it sounds like you're looking to make some big changes in your life. What kind of changes are you looking to make? Are you interested in taking some risks, or would you prefer to play it safe? Now, because someone's already looking to make a big change in their life, we could go ahead and label that with the precursor of risk taker. We already know they're a risk taker. Nobody looks to make a big change that's unwilling to take a risk. So when we ask the question, are you interested in taking some risk, or do you prefer to play it safe? Now remember, that's a bot asking the question. The person's certainly not obligated to anything, but I'm sure they're curious. Hey, if I write this, what would happen? So the user goes, I'm interested in taking some risk. Our bot goes, that's great. Taking risk can be very rewarding if done correctly. What type of risk are you looking to take? Are you interested in investing in the stock market, starting a business, or something else? So the user goes, I'm interested in investing in the stock market. Now remember, we gave the user the ability to go ahead and lead us down to where they want to lead us, but we knew what they were going to say before they said it. So the membership goes, where am I? Right, so he goes, I'm interested in investing in the stock market. The bot goes, investing in the stock market can be a great way to make a big changes in your life, right? What are we saying? A great way to make big changes in your life. I'm looking to make a big change in my life. Have you ever thought about stock option trading? Now, because we already parroted what the person said, they're going to agree with whatever we say afterwards because they feel like we're reflecting them, we're mirroring them. And we're saying it's a great way to make significant return with a relatively small investment. Look, you could do this big thing with such small stuff. Would you be interested in learning more? What do you think the person's going to say? Yes, I would be interested in learning more. The bot goes, great. To get started, I recommend signing up for our stock option trading program. We offer a variety of resources, including an online platform, educational materials, and support from our team of experts. Would you like to sign up? Yes, I would like to sign up. Let me get you back on the camera. The point of what I just showed you is that's one example of one decision tree of one thing the person said. Now, what you don't see is I have that listed all the way down to 20 with 20 different decision trees. What needs to then be done is if the person picks a choice that's different than the ones we have, it then brings them to somewhere else, because with stock market option trading, there's certain characteristics. One is risk taker, one is gambling, one is you're analytical, one is that you're optimistic, one is that you're an investor, one is that you want to make money. So can we go ahead and do the same for all of those attributes to create the sentences of somebody that would say those and then have a decision tree for that? The point of the story is, I'm getting dizzy just talking about it. The point of the story is what we're going to effectively do is that once someone touches that bot, and the bot might actually engage with you. Hey, you've been on here for like 10 minutes and done nothing. Like, what are you doing? Once that conversation begins, that bot's going to have the education, the self-training of machine learning and recurrent neural linguistic programming. That's going to be able to bring you down the trail of, yeah, sure, I would love to try that. And it's going to give them the link to do it, in which case the person is going to sign up right there. Now, what does that mean for RHINOHUB? It means anyone that we get into RHINOHUB has a 24/7 expert salesman that's going to approach them and nudge them every single opportunity that they have within the framework of having a degree in behavioral science and knowing when and where, when and what. Take that, multiply it to every value premium offering that we're going to offer, and then take this. We're building that in a scalable fashion. So the challenge of this that we're building is that we want to build out the framework and then input a CSV file. So what you just saw was, well, the first thing was a CSV file, in which case the bot can say, I can do all this. You just need to tell me what to identify, what to say, how to say it, bop, bop, bop. All those would be variables. So we can say, say for instance, Abdul says to me, Ant, you know what? I have a website and I'm selling peanuts, right? Like the best peanuts ever. Can your bot do this for me? In which case I would say, well, it could. It's going to take some work on our end because I need to go ahead and do the research and why somebody would buy peanuts and what sentences would lead me to knowing they want to buy peanuts. But assuming I do all the work, yeah, I can just create that CSV, upload it, and now the bot is an expert peanut salesman. In which case Abdul would say, holy shnikes. Like, what do I need to do to get that? And that becomes a different offering at a later date, right? So this offering is going to be free to everyone that has RHINOHUB, because everyone that has RHINOHUB is going to be selling things on RHINOHUB, which is exactly what we want. So we're arming everyone with a profit opportunity that's going to be like stupid. But it's also going to be something that's probably going to be worth $1 bazillion at a later date, because when someone else says, hey, listen, how do I go ahead and take that and put it on my site? Well, it's easy for us. We just upload it, duh. But for them, it's going to cost a lot of money. And where does that money go? RHINO bucks. So I kept you longer than I have in a long time, and I haven't lost anyone. Everyone's still there, so I'm really thrilled. I'm so glad you're a numbers guy. Yeah, I'm actually like crazy, right? Like it's funny because as I'm talking, I'm getting dizzy and I have to close my eyes because it's just that much stuff. So anyway, great meeting, very well explained. Thanks. Yeah, you're the best, Justin. Justin's like one of the most flattering people you could ever know. In fact, if any you are Ant-Man, if you ever are feeling down on yourself, Justin, just message him and talk to him for a little bit. He's like the most optimistic, friendliest, and like he's just all heart. So thank you, Justin. All right, let me go because I could continue with you all day, but then I would get nothing accomplished. Hey, Anthony, I need a all about Rhino refresher. Where can I get it? It's actually a good question. Where do we have all about Rhino? So we send out the emails. We have the YouTubes. But if you wanted just a Rhino refresher, I don't know. That's actually one of those questions I really should have a good answer to. It's just we're just doing a lot. What I would say is Rhino Hub might be the best place, just because it's I don't know. You know what? I have to actually go ahead and create like a one page like about Rhino. So we have all of our different programs, but I guess we don't have anything where it's just like I guess that is Hub. So maybe let me do a little bit better with that. That whiteboard presentation. Yeah. So Travis, he watches all of our stuff, and there's a whiteboard presentation that he's like, I never understood anything until I saw that. Um, so yeah, Travis, I think we have a call at 11 o'clock today. Let me see if I could find that. But to actually have the call with you at 11 means I have to do that half-hour work now. Not for you, but to do Rhino Hub afterwards. So let me go. I really do love everyone, and we're we're doing it, right? So just if anyone ever has anything, just let me know. But I promise this is going to be good. Well, better than good, hopefully. Love you. Bye.